One of the things I want to address is the whole issue of mind control techniques and how this applies to what cults do to control and manipulate their members. And one of the best things that I've found is the information provided in Robert J. Lifton's book, Thought Reform and the Psychology of Totalism, that was published, the research was done in the 50s, and it was originally done with a focus on prisoners of war and the Chinese re-education programs. And what they did is they went in and they interviewed people who had gone through the re-education programs and took a look at what techniques were used to change people from behaving in one way or thinking in a certain belief system into adopting what the present propaganda was, and in effect controlling what they thought. And out of the research, what he was able to pull out were there were 8 major techniques or criteria that were used to control people's minds and get them to change. And it's really interesting to see how these 8 criteria can be used to take a look at how cults control and manipulate their own members. The 8 criteria initially are milieu control, mystical manipulation, a demand for purity, confession, sacred science, loading the language, doctrine over the person, and dispensing of existence. And what I'll do is I'll go through each one so that you get a better idea of what it is as Lifton defined it, and I'll see what I can do about applying it to how cults use it, and specifically how the cult I was in, the Jehovah's Witnesses, use it. The second criteria is mystical manipulation. And in this, a group that is trying to use a mind control technique will encourage you to believe that their thoughts and beliefs are higher than anybody else's, that they actually have a higher power, that God is instructing them. And it becomes very difficult for a person who wants to believe in God and wants to follow what God says to say, no, this is separate from God. So if the organization or the cult can convince you that this comes from God, it adds an extra power to it that isn't there if somebody says, well, it's just the boss that says you have to do this. And by that, they're adding a spiritual element, and cults tend to very often use the spiritual element, higher powers or God, to reinforce their belief systems that these come from God. In the Witnesses, what they do is say that the Jehovah's Witness organization, Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, the governing body of that organization, is the only medium on earth that has the power or the information directly from God in how to interpret the Bible and how to pass that information on to their members. And if, as a member, you think that this is the only way to be accepted by God, then they have an extra pull in authority and control over you.